Hi, I'm Joe Welinske, and I'm the program manager for what will be the second annual Technical Communication Conference at the University of Washington in Tacoma, September 7th and 8th. And I get the chance to talk with a lot of our presenters. And today I am speaking with Dave Farkas. Hello, Dave. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. Hello, Joe. Hello, everybody.
Well, it's great to talk with you today. I'm in my Seattle home office. Where are you talking to me from?
I'm in my home office in Lake Forest Park, just outside of Seattle.
Well, it's good to be chatting with you. Of course, I've known you for a long time, but why don't you talk a little bit about your background and the types of things you're involved with?
Sure. My area has been technical communication and information design. I taught that at 3 universities, most of the time actually at the University of Washington in the Department of Human-Centered Design and Engineering. And I retired or transitioned to emeritus status about 4 years ago, but I don't think of myself as being retired. I stay pretty active in the field in a whole variety of ways, and participating in this conference is just one of those ways.
Well, it's great to have you involved in the event, especially with your long connection to University of Washington. But what as you're doing your activities on your own now, are there any particular things that have captured your interest or that you're working on?
Yes. In April, I did a guest class on summaries, and I started researching that. And then after the class was finished, I kept researching, kept thinking about it, and it really engaged my attention. And I started doing a whole lot of literature research and a whole lot of looking at summaries in the professional world. So that is currently the area that I'm most excited about.
Well, it's definitely great when a person like yourself is able to take the time to do some of that background research that a lot of practitioners don't have time for. And we will be able to get all the details about that, your activities at the conference. But are there any things that you might want to share as a preview? Any things that you've discovered that have really piqued your interest or furthered your research in this area?
Well, one thing that's interesting is that summaries seem real simple. They seemed pretty straightforward when I first started planning a talk about them, but there are more subtleties and more design issues than you might think, and there are different ways in which academics and practitioners look at summaries, different perspectives, and they all show you something different. And summarization is actually changing. If you look at journals, there are now many kinds of summaries that people didn't see 15, 20 years before. So if what you know about summaries comes from that tech writing course you took 10, 15 years ago, things are actually significantly different now.
Well, I'm glad you kind of mentioned this difference over time, because that was another thing I wanted to ask you about, because you have such a long-standing observation of technical communication over the years. And so I was wondering if there are any things that you've noticed over time that have changed significantly, or areas where you thought things maybe would have changed more than they have, over the past 20 some years of the time you've been involved. So either of those areas.
Well, one big change that took place a while back is the structured abstract, where summaries have headings within them, and the headings correspond to the main divisions in the text, in the whatever kind of document it is. But now there are a lot of summaries that use a organizational structure that's entirely different from the structure in the text. And there are some pros and cons there. It's not necessarily a good idea for the reader to sort of have to get used to one structure and then go to the text and all of a sudden there's a different structure. But that's actually becoming more and more prevalent, and it's an issue that people have to deal with. Also, oftentimes now there are two summaries. There'll be a regular traditional summary or abstract, and there'll be something maybe called highlights or what you will learn. You do that, I think, in your conferences. And there'll often be a second summary for a different audience. So there'll be one summary that has to be very precise and technical, and then another summary for the general public. So there are, and there are videos, there are graphical, there are summaries that are graphics. So there's actually quite a bit of change. It turns out to be a really interesting topic. It probably doesn't seem so, because at first glance, well, what's a summary? You say the same thing again, but you make it shorter. It looks straightforward, but it isn't as straightforward as it looks. It's interesting. I'm really excited by the topic, and I'm looking forward to getting a chance to talk about it at the conference. And not just talk during my session, by the way. I hope to chat with people, and if people have some particular question or something that is particular to their work setting, nothing I'd like more than to just have a cup of coffee with someone and talk about whatever their particular concerns are.
All right. Yeah, that sounds good. Well, thanks for taking the time to chat with me about this today, and we'll see you in just under a couple of months in Tacoma.
Very good. Okay. Thank you, Joe.